So, progress bars. They are a very common component in software and digital interfaces, and in games especially, you see them absolutely everywhere. For example, they're used to display health, to show your stamina, to show your progress towards leveling up, and they're used in loading screens. Let's head into Roblox now. Making a progress bar in Roblox is pretty straightforward once you understand the basic structure of it. So it's composed of two main parts. First part is the background frame, which acts as the container. And then there's another frame inside the background frame, which is the part that actually does the filling animation. The background stays completely static, while the inner frame is the one that gets scaled so it shows the progress. Now, in a typical progress bar, like without messing around with the anchor points or anything, you want the position to stay at 0, 0. And you want the X property to start at 0, which is the width of 0. And you want the Y property, which is the height, to stay at 1. Now let's actually bring this to life with some code. Okay, so the first thing we should do is reference Roblox's tween service. Now you could technically animate things manually, but I don't want to do that. So, okay, next we need to declare the element we'll actually be animating. In this case, it's our fill frame. Now comes the tween info. This is basically the instruction manual for the script to know how exactly we want the animation to behave. I'm going to set this to take 5 seconds. And then I'm also going to use a sign easing style, which gives us a nice smooth acceleration at the start and a nice smooth deceleration at the end. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to put everything in an infinite while true do loop, so we can actually see the bar in progress. So inside this loop, we need to define our goal, which is a table that tells tween service which property we want to change. And for the progress bar, we want to change the X or the width from 0 to 1 when it fills. Then we're going to create a tween using tween service where we put everything together. We're basically giving it 3 things. The object that we want to animate, the animation style we defined earlier, and the goal we just set up. And then we just call play to start the animation. And then we're gonna wait for it to complete before moving on. It's just better this way because otherwise things might get messy. And I'm gonna wait for an extra second using task.wait before moving on so we could have a little break in between the filling and emptying. And yeah, for the emptying, we just do the exact same thing. We set a goal this time, a max width of 1 all the way down to 0. And then we just create another tween. This one uses our second goal. And then we just play the animation again using the same practices. As you can see, it's really quite simple to make a functional progress bar in Roblox. It doesn't even reach 30 lines of code. And yeah, let's test this out. And there we go. We see it filling up really smoothly. And then 1 second later, it empties out very smoothly. And that's the standard Roblox progress bar in action. This works great for rectangular progress bars. And honestly, that's probably all you really need for a Roblox game. But what if you just want to try something a little bit more interesting? What if you want to break out this rectangular constraint? Let's try making a circular progress bar instead. So for this, I'm going to swap from using the basic frames to using image labels because, you can't really make circles. The advantage of using image labels is that we can use any shape we want. So we're not really limited to rectangles anymore, which allows for even more creative designs. Okay, I'm just gonna set this up real quick. Like before, we're gonna have the standard background frame. And then inside the background frame, we just duplicate this and have fill frame. Give it a color as usual. Nice little teal. I always do this. I just always mess up background color and the image color. I'll just make a darker blue instead. Okay, so as usual, we're gonna set the position to 0, 0, and then we're gonna set the width to 0 as well. See, this is the exact same thing we did for the rectangular progress bar. Now we just copied over the exact same script. And then let's try running it and see what happens. And okay, yeah, this is a disaster. The problem here is that it's just simply changing the size of the rectangular frame that holds the image, not the actual like circle. So then how can we overcome this limitation? One solution is UIGradients. With this method, we simply change our approach. Instead of focusing on the size, we focus on the transparency. We're going to use a gradient to control what parts of the image are visible and what parts are invisible. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, first I have to actually like resize the fill frame into view. Back to 1. See how I can create this sharp cutoff? Everything on one side of the cliff is fully visible, and everything on the other side is invisible. And you can also change the rotation to change the way you, like the direction you want the bar to fill. As you can see, by moving this cliff, I can create the illusion of the bar filling up. The image isn't actually changing at all, which is revealing and hiding different parts using transparency. It's kind of like moving a curtain across a window. All right, so let's go adapt our script to control this cliff. Here's the catch. Tween servers actually can't animate a gradient's transparency directly. So I'm going to use what's called a proxy object. This number value is going to hold a number that animates from 0 to 1. And then we'll just link that value to the cliff. Let's declare the UI gradient since we're going to be animating it. Now we're going to go and write a function that basically runs every single time our progress value changes. So we're going to like reference the value of our progress. And then we basically reference the UI gradient's transparency and make it a number sequence, since or else it's just going to be a single transparency and not actually a gradient, which won't work. So for this, we're going to use four key points. The first two will create the visible section, and then we'll have our sharp cutoff right at the value position. Everything after that will be invisible. The 0.01 offset is what makes the edge sharp instead of gradual, which is what we want since we don't want the progress to show a visible gradient. And now in our animation loop, we change our goal to, instead of tweaking the fill's size, we tween our progress value instead from 0 to 1. We change the tween service to use progress value. Then similarly for goal 2, we go from 1 to 0. And that's it, really. Let's test it. And just like that, we have a perfectly working circular progress bar. It respects the circular shape and looks really, really clean. Now, to really showcase what's possible with this technique, I'm gonna go and create a completely custom shape. When exporting, I recommend using white as your base color if you're not really sure what color you want to use yet. Alright, back in Studio, I've imported my custom shape as a decal. Before doing anything, I'm gonna change rotation to 70 because I want to go from bottom to top. Then I'm just gonna replace the circle image with my image. Just gonna resize it because it's not a complete square. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's try to turn this into a real functional HV bar. So to do that, we need to get the player's humanoid because that's where all the health information lives. We're gonna need to use local player because this is a local script. And then we need to get the player's character. And then from the character, we get the humanoid. Before we do anything else, let's add an extra layer of polish. So this feels really, really professional. Let's make the health bar actually change colors based on how much health you have. Green when you're healthy, yellow or orange when you're getting low, and then red when you're actually in danger. So let's just create some variables and give them the respective colors. If you guys are liking the video so far, please make sure to give it a like. Maybe even give me a subscribe. It helped me out a lot. Now I'm going to get rid of the while loop we had before because we don't need it to loop infinitely anymore. And now we create a function called update bar. This is basically going to be the heart of our system. Its job is to calculate what percentage of health the player has left, figure out what color the bar should be, then tween our progress value to match. We need to figure out the color, and in order to create a smooth blend between our colors, we're going to be using something called lerp, which is short for linear interpolation. Lerp is basically a way to find a color that's a certain percentage of the way between two other colors. So if you alert between red and blue with an alpha of 0.5, you get purple. And if the alpha is 0.75, you get mostly blue with a little bit of red. So here's what's happening with this snippet of code. If your health is above 50%, we alert between orange and green. And if it's below 50%, we alert between red and orange. And yeah, now that we've got our colors sorted out, let's finish the function. As I said before, this changing colors of an image works best if your image is white. Let me use a short direction here, 0.3, because you want the health changes to feel responsive, not really slow and laggy. And now we just create a tween that uses a progress value, tween info, and then the goal we just set up. And we just play it. So every time the health value changes, we want the update bar function to run. Humanoid has a built-in event for exactly this. So I'm going to connect it to that. And finally, we need to call this function once manually at the very end. This initializes the bar to show the correct health value when the player first spawns in. Yeah, I'm also going to change the color to be the same, green. Okay, now we have to test this. We have to have an actual damage brick. So let's make that real quick. Just a simple part in the workspace. As always, make sure to develop a habit of anchoring the parts. Okay, you're just gonna resize it a little bit, make it a little bit bigger and make it red. Okay, now we just make a script that makes it damage us. So first we just reference the parts. The debounce here is pretty important because without it, this touch event that we're making would fire multiple times per second. So if you're just standing on the part, you're gonna take too much damage and die right away. So we can't really see the bar in action really well. So the script for this is pretty simple. When something touches our part, we just check if it's a humanoid. And if it does, that means we are able to deal damage to it. So let's deal damage to it. Let's make it deal like 25 damage. Sounds like a good amount. Then we're going to make the debounce a quarter of a second. And that's basically it. Let's test it. And when I'm going to walk over to damage brick, and there it is, look. The HP bar is fully functional and it looks a lot nicer and feels a lot nicer than just a regular rectangular bar. And that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and I'll see you guys next time.